Hey everybody, today I'm going to be talking about Bride by Ali Hazelwood. She has a few trending books out right now. Love Hypothesis, Love Theoretically. She just did a young adult book in the last couple of years. I think it's called Checkmate or Check and Mate, something like that. The book follows this young vampire. She's the daughter of a powerful vampire who is on the council. He's got a lot of influence in the vampire world. They're on the brink of war between vampires, werewolves, and humans. So things are changing politically. And so alliances are shifting. So her father, in order to solidify the alliance between vampires and werewolves, decide that he's gonna marry her off to one of the new alphas who is also powerful and dangerous. And they're using her as collateral. It turns out, you find out that she is used from a very young age throughout her life to gain power politically. While all that stuff is happening, she's investigating the disappearance of her best friend. Misery is her name. She's a strong female main character. She doesn't take anything from anybody. She's funny and she's smart. This is kind of an easy read as far as fantasy or paranormal romances go. There's not a lot of world building. It's a sort of laid back read. I read it in a day, which is great. I do think that this would be a good transition book for people who don't read fantasy to kind of dip their toe into that world. There's not it doesn't bombard you with a lot of information and complex, complicated names, nothing like that. That being said, I personally like more complex fantasy stories. I like more world building. But I think that's something that turns a lot of people off from fantasy, from reading fantasy. So I think this is a good bridge in between. It's sort of read like a young adult. There were some spicy scenes, some sex scenes. I read some reviews that compare it a little bit to Twilight, the Twilight vibes. I wouldn't say it's quite young adult like that. It's a little bit more elevated than the Twilight series. I, throughout the book, got the Sookie Stackhouse series vibe, which turned into the True Blood series on HBO, but it just wasn't as spicy as that. There was a little bit of spice, but wasn't as spicy as that. So I think it's somewhere between the two of those in my mind. That's how I categorize it. Not as young adult as Twilight, not as spicy as the Sookie Stackhouse series, but this is considered an adult paranormal romance. It was fast-paced. It kept me interested. There was no time where I was like, oh, let's get off this storyline and go to the next. I don't want to listen to this. I don't want to read about this part. I didn't ever have that. But I did forget from time to time that she was actually doing an investigation. She was investigating her best friend's disappearance. There were certain times where you would go a while and not hear anything about it, and then she would mention it again. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot her best friend is missing. Lo, who is the alpha male that she is married to, I loved him from the beginning. They did say in the beginning that he was dangerous and that she would have to watch herself around him. And so going in, you were thinking, oh my gosh, she's gonna be hurt. There's gonna be some sort of, abuse or some kind of violence. But that wasn't the case. He was like a gentle giant. He was caring from the beginning. As a leader, he wanted to be caring. He didn't want to just be throwing his power around and telling people to do things or not do things just because he was in a place that he could. And his little sister, I loved that relationship, and that he stepped up to take care of her, and that he drops everything whenever she's around, and she knows that he is there for her. He is her person. I also think the writing, as far as the writing goes, it was a really good choice for her to do the epigraphs at the beginning of each chapter that kept you in his point of view, even though you were reading from her point of view at the beginning. It would just be a little blurb of what he's thinking and feeling in that moment in reference to what's going on in that chapter. I thought that was a good way to keep a connection going when you weren't actually reading from his point of view or from any of his scenes. You kept him in your mind. Overall, I gave it a 4.0 because I do think that this is a good book for people to bridge into the fantasy world. And when there's any book like that, I am a fan, because there was a time that I never read fantasy, and my husband, that's his genre of choice. And the Sookie Stackhouse here series was one of the series that bridged it over, and now fantasy is one of my favorite genres to read. So I think this is a good baby step into the world. I give it a 4.0. If you're looking for a complex story, this isn't gonna be it for you. But it is a good read. It's funny, you'll chuckle throughout. She's got a great dry sense of humor. She doesn't leave it on a cliffhanger, but she leaves it open to the possibility of another book after this. If you've read this, tell me what you think. If you liked it or not. I like to hear both sides, even if, you know, I loved a book and somebody absolutely hates it. I kind of like to hear the other side. And if you think there's gonna be another one, a second book, there is gonna be a haul coming soon. I'm waiting for a couple of books to come in. I've added a few over here. I have a stack in my room. So that haul that I said was gonna be a small haul is turning into a bigger haul, but that'll be fun. Let me know what's on your to be read list and any books coming out. I just put on pre-order Onyx Storm to the Fourth Wing Iron Flame series. So that's exciting. Guys, I'll see you in the next video.